Does your child with ADHD struggle making or keeping friends and it's breaking your mommy heart? Welcome back, guys. Today we are getting into the heartbreaking situation of the social struggles our children with ADHD will face and how we can help. My name is Danielle Kelly. I'm a parent coach. I help parents of children newly diagnosed with ADHD figure it out, find their footing, and find the patience required to start this new journey. So let's get into it. I recently had a coaching client come to me and she was sobbing. She said that her child is 11 and not only does he have trouble making friends, he definitely struggles keeping friends. And she wanted to know what she could do to help to teach him the value of relationships. And today I want to cover all of the tips that I gave her on, of course, how to help our child make friends, but also we need to understand why they have trouble getting there in the first place. Okay, first, let's get a little nerdy. Did you know that around 9% of American children are diagnosed with ADHD? That's 1 in 10. So 1 in 10 children struggle with social norms. It sounds like quantum physics to them. Why? Well, if your child is anything like my child is hyperactive, he's impulsive, he's in your face, he's full on hands-on, he's aggressive, and to the quiet, chill kid, neurotypical possibly, that's a lot to handle, right? So let's break down each of the factors that may cause our children to have trouble making and keeping friends. First up is, as I said, impulsivity. Our children not only speak before thinking, they also act before thinking. So in my household, we often recognize a fast brain decision after we've made it. But in the realm of friends, if we've said something or done something to our friends before we think about it, even recognizing it after the fact isn't very helpful, right? Especially, like I said, my son is very hands-on. He's full-blown aggressive. I, as his almost 40-year-old mother, find myself wrestling with him all the time because he needs that. But to a 9-year-old kid, eventually they're going to wear down with all that impulsive in your face, right? Next up is the attention factor, focus, distractibility, ADHD, right? My son goes from one activity, he might give it his all for about 30 minutes if he's not hyper focused on it, and then he's off to the next one. So he often finds that his neurotypical peers are really into something, and after a while it's just not shiny enough to keep his attention. So he's like, guys, let's go do the next thing. And then they get into that, and then he's like, okay, let's go do the next thing. He even does this to me as his mom. We will be on the trampoline and, we're having fun. I'm having fun. We just got situated. We're in our groove. And he's like, okay, let's go play basketball. And I'm like, so even to neurotypical children who are probably a little distractible themselves, every few seconds, something new, finding something shiny might become exhaustive. Hyperactivity. Sitting still, not my son's jam. He's not into that unless he is into a video game or something that's really grabbed a hold of his attention. Hyperfocus is common in children with ADHD, possibly everybody, where you're really focused on something, and that might get him sitting down for a little bit. But outside of that, you're probably not going to catch him sitting for long. So when his neurotypical peers are sitting down playing a board game and they are in their groove and he's like running around the circle, yeah, pretty wild ride. Last up is a broad topic of why our children struggle making friends, and that is their executive functioning is hijacked. And if you are new here and do not know what executive functioning is, it's your life skills. It is planning, organization, memory recall, but the biggest one that you may find in friend circles, social circles, are emotional control and self-regulation. And most of the time, this hijacked executive function keeps our children 20 to 30% delayed than their neurotypical peers. So if you find that your 8-year-old often acts like a 6-year-old, that could be why. Now, For a parent, that's frustrating. But for a group of 10-year-olds who are trying to acclimate a 10-year-old acting like a 7 or 8-year-old into that circle, that's pretty frustrating, right? Luckily, there is a lot that we can do to help our children make, keep, and basically start valuing relationships in general, right? First up, we are going to teach them social norms. We are going to teach them not only social norms, but like I said, valuing the relationship. We can do this in many ways. But if you have the first way that I would start is if your child is possibly beating their toys, banging Spider-Man's head on the walls, in your face aggressive, you might say, you know what, we should give Spider-Man a break right now because he's had a long day. This is for the toddler phase going up into pre-K kindergarten. You can start this very early. You can also model with yourself. I have tried to explain to my son over and over and over until he can now repeat it to me. For two people to be playing together, both of those people have to be having fun. So if one is skipping turns or being impatient or being too aggressive, the other person is probably not having as fun a time as you're having, right? That makes it not fun for mom. So I've told him, mom's not really having a lot of fun right now. What could we do to change that? Do you have any ideas? Prompt them, give them the opportunity to see what's happening and see if they can make some adjustments. Visual aids. This is not as scary as it sounds. Since my son was very small, we have story time before bed. So you can actually go to your library and find many books on children that have ADHD, but also there are many series that have one character who is a poor sport or a ball hog or too aggressive or grumpy or all of that. And when you're reading these stories and trying to get your child to see, hey, what's happening here, you can stop and pause after a certain page and say, how do you think that makes this character feel? Or do you think that blank character could do this any better? And I know that this sounds a little woo-woo, but eventually, when your child is in these situations, possibly with you pointing it out to start, you might find that they can tell you, like I said, now I can tell my son, mom's not having that great of a time. What can we do about that? Or, we can remind them before we go to the playground. Okay, now you remember that in this book, one of them's name is called Pug the Pig. Pug the Pig is a rowdy character. He's always has to be first. He overeats. He has to be the star of the show, right? So how did Trevor, his opposite in that book, how did Trevor feel when Pug was being rude? Okay, well, let's not be a Pug the Pig today on the field, right? Practice patience and model empathy. This is not easy because raising a child with ADHD is pretty dang challenging, right? But the more that you keep your patience and the more that you model that behavior that you want them to get, it will eventually take hold and become reflex. It will not happen easily. So anytime that it does, even in the smallest win, celebrate that. Children with ADHD's brains work on dopamine. So when mom says, man, you're doing such a really good job, that releases a flood of feel-good endorphins, and they're going to remember that and they're going to want more of that. You don't have to praise it to that extent all the time, because once you pretty much have a handle on one situation, you're going to find another one that needs to work on. So praise and train this situation and let them know, and then you can kind of slack off. Now when I see my kid do something fantastic without me saying anything, I'll kind of across the playground to let them know, like, I still see you, dude. I see you doing good. We also want to create a safe space. This is like my mission as a mom, to create a safe space for my kid to come and tell me how he feels. We actually had a conversation very recently where I thought he was procrastinating, lacking the motivation. His executive functioning was hijacked on starting task initiation. I thought that that's what it was, but as it turns out, it's that he doesn't feel like he's very good at that task, so he didn't want to start the task. Now, that doesn't have anything to do with creating and keeping friends, but it kind of does, right? Because we want to create that safe space across the board for our children to come to us and say, you know what, Mom, I'm really struggling with this. Judgment-free zone, right? You can't say, you can come to Mom with anything and I won't be mad, and then get mad, right? That's hard. That is challenging. But creating that safe space for them to come and talk to you will be so important and so valuable in the long run. The last two kind of go together. We are going to model the behavior that we want and use positive reinforcement. And the reason I say that they go together is because while we're modeling the behavior that we want reciprocated in friendships, we got to be kind of positive, right? If we're modeling in our own relationships negatively, it's not going to work too good. I've actually told my son, as an example, if Mom treated my friend this way, they wouldn't want to play with me. And that would make me sad. And he's like, Mom, you're 40, you don't play. Cool. But the same still holds true. If I treated my friend bad in any sense of the word, they wouldn't come back to me, right? The second part is when you see your child doing that, again, shower them with praises, positively reinforce, hey, you're getting there. I see you, A funny story's coming to mind. I have a mom friend who is fantastic with her patients. And she tells her son all the time, a friendship is like a garden. You have to tend to it, water it, love it, nurture it to keep it blooming, right? That's what's coming to mind now. So teach your child that friendships are important. We need people to play with or else we feel lonely, and we got to treat them right. Outside of this video, and myself as a parent coach, of course, you're going to need resources. You're going to need to find, for starters, a mom group or a parent group of friends that relate to what you're going through so that they can kind of give you some tips and pointers. But hopefully, in you finding your tribe, your child can find their tribe. We are almost 10 years into this, and I can say wholeheartedly that my son's best relationships are also children who are non-neurotypical, right? They're neurodivergent out here. We are ADHD, autistic, all of the things on the spectrum. My kid resonates with those children the most. They get him. That's his tribe. Our local library started a Lego group, which is really for all of us to come in and play and make friends who are just like us. And during that, the moms kind of formed great friendships as well, right? Finding your tribe is so important. And of course, I'm always here to help. If you found this video helpful, like and subscribe. Stay around. I have 6 years of training in this field, and I am on the path with you, right? And on this channel, I share all of that with you. If you've already tried everything in this video and you're like, we're still not there, the link to my coaching calendar is always in the description. I would love to talk to you and help you through your journey. Until next time, good luck on making friends, guys.